Hi, welcome back to the garage. Today I'm going to be working on a project for a very, very special person. My niece Christina, who is very much a nurturer and loves people, loves to laugh. She is just wonderful. I don't get to see her very often. We live in different provinces, and with the COVID restrictions, there's been no traveling in the past year or so. But in the meantime, because I think of her often, I'm going to turn this piece of London plain and I'm going to turn it into a pot for her. She loves plants and she's looking for something to pretty up some of her uglier bowls. So this piece of wood is going to be perfect. I have the big heavy block mounted on a screw chuck, and I've added 4 screws for extra hold. Now, when I was drilling the hole for the screw chuck, I actually drilled it on the wrong end. I want this to be the bottom. It really doesn't need a hole in it. So I've added a little bit of sawdust from a previous turning and put CA glue, like crazy glue. Hopefully that will keep this as a bowl and not a sieve. So Christina, you'll have a story to tell about the funny looking bottom, but it'll still be a beautiful bowl and you really won't notice it once it's done. So the piece is now mounted. I'm going to keep an eye on this crack. There was probably a branch growing from here and there's a little pith right there. And when a piece of wood dries, it usually starts drying from the pith out. I put a little bit of CA glue to hopefully keep that as intact as possible. Here is where there was some bark, so the tree kind of indented at this part. We're probably going to turn most of this away. If I can keep some of it as an accent, I will. And this will be the bottom, this will be the top. I'm just going to start working on the foot now. Colin is busy right now, so I've put the camera in such a way that hopefully it won't vibrate too much. I'm using my 1/2-inch bowl gouge and I'm going to be turning this a little rounder. It's a little bit off center right now and I'm going to make a foot. I've done a few passes and I've noticed one long crack here and the little crack that I was showing earlier with the pith, that seems to be getting a little bit bigger and we really haven't dealt with that. I haven't dealt with that yet, but the color difference is beautiful. So I'm going to keep turning. I'm going to create. Based on the grain, this piece is not London plain. It might be maple. I'll have to find out for sure. I have this little compass that I use to determine where 2 inches is for my foot. So I'll just turn on the lathe. And that gives me a good idea of how far to go in to get the proper sized foot. The foot is done. It's about 1/3 of an inch deep. I'm going to remove the block from the screw chuck and I'm going to attach it to the lathe using the foot into this one-way jaw. I've remounted the piece. It is being held in place with the one-way jaws and I'm hoping that this crack that is here doesn't actually meet up with the crack from the pith up here. It is possible that the branch went right through. We'll find a way to fix that if that's the case. I have a little bit more shaping to do on the outside and then I'll work on the inside. Let's see what that looks like in slow motion. I've turned on the light to show you that there is something going on with this piece of wood. I've tried 2 different tools, 3 different heights on my tool rest, and every time I get to the middle, starting here to here, the tool chatters and jumps around and leaves these weird marks. Don't know why. I've sharpened my tool, I've changed my tool, and it still gets the same results. So hopefully somebody will chime in and let me know why. But in the meantime, I'm going to try and get this smooth because it's beautiful. Look at that. There's a few marks, few little cracks which we can fix, a little bit of burl or markings. Yeah, it's going to be pretty. You just have to get rid of this strip though. So with this scraper, I was able to remove most of the chatter, the marks that were on the sides. And I'm going to leave this little bit, I don't know if you can see, a little bit indent. So that's a natural place where the bark was. I think that adds character to the piece. There's still more cracks, fix those later. Now I'm going to work on the inside. I started doing the inside with my bowl gouge, but I'm actually going to use this tool. I think it's a little bit easier to hollow out. And you can see there's more cracks in there. So I'm going to go slowly. I'm not going to be too aggressive until I see exactly what's going on in there. Check out the flying ribbons. This is the piece unsanded. I've hollowed it out as much as I feel comfortable with, especially with all the cracks that are there. Some are coming right through. So there's that crack from the inside, there's the knot right there, and that is this here, and there's another one right there. So it's going to stay thick, which is okay because it's a planter, and I will sand it and soften the edges a little bit, and maybe, I'm not sure, but I might put in a few burn lines just because I like burn lines. The piece of wood that I was using said London Plain on it. It turns out it's not London Plain. The more I turned it, the more the characteristics of the wood seemed different than what I know London Plain to look like. I confirmed it with a friend, and it is a piece of maple. So I am going to be turning a small London Plain bowl for Christina, but her pot for her plants is maple. I've turned the piece and mounted it on the cold jaws. The only thing left to do with this turning on the lathe is remove the foot. The pot is done. It is a beautiful maple bowl, and it has lots of figure in it with some burl, a little bit of spalting, a few cracks, but it's really, really pretty, and I hope Christina likes it. As for the London Plain, I did find a little piece of true London Plain, which I will turn into a little bowl for her. I'm not having any luck with the London Plain. This little piece that I had is just showing up with lots of cracks. And I'm going to keep turning. Hopefully there is some salvageable wood on there, but I might have to try another piece. This is so not working out the way I expected. I've managed to salvage a little bit of this blank. Now, Christina was hoping to have a little bowl for some change. It's a small bowl. Hopefully she doesn't have a lot of change, but once it's all finished, it'll be cute and she can put other things in it. Here's a piece of real London Plain. Now this piece was twice as big. I cut it in half and I started turning a bowl. Of course, with London Plain, apparently the pieces I have, there are cracks in them. And those cracks, those cracks will probably go all the way through to the middle when I start hollowing it out, but that's okay. I'm going to use a different epoxy and fill the holes with the epoxy. Now I may add color, I'm not sure. It all depends how big those cracks are. Using my 1/2 inch bowl gouge and my hollowing tool, I'm going to hollow out the middle and we'll see what the bowl looks like. I've hollowed out a few inches of the bowl and the cracks are coming through, and that's fine. Cracks and little imperfections can look quite pretty. But if this bowl is going to be used as a salad bowl where food is going to be introduced in the inside, you do want to seal all of the cracks and not leave anything where food could get caught in there. I've removed the bowl from the chuck and I've added tape to the inside because I am going to put epoxy. Now the epoxy that I'm going to use is 5-minute epoxy. I'm going to put it on the outside first, wait until it sets, and whatever hasn't gone in to fill the gaps, I'll just put some on the inside. I've decided to color the epoxy with a little bit of this blue-green powder, so the cracks are really going to stand out. Why not make all the imperfections look colorful? I've kept a little bit of the bark, and I've also on the inside made a little bit of a rim, a lip if you want, so that as a snack bowl, it's always easier to grab your snacks if there's a little bit of a barrier from the snack going outside of the bowl. That's what I've done so far. I'm going to get back to you once the epoxy's done. The London plain bowl is back on the lathe. I have a lot of blue epoxy filling in the holes inside and out. It's a little bit chunky. It set much quicker than I anticipated in this cold garage, but that's okay. I'm just going to use my scraper and remove all the excess inside and out. Here's the outside with most of the epoxy turned away. There's just a little bit of a gap in here. I might fill that with a little bit of colored powder and CA glue. I need to do the inside, and it's starting to look really nice. Hey, there's my puppy Paige. How are you? Yeah, what are you eating?
Dog
food. Good girl. This is going to be the last time I sand this bowl. So depending if there's any more cracks or gaps that appear with this last standing will determine what type of bowl it will be, how it can be used. As I mentioned, you don't want any cracks or gaps in the wood if it's going to be a salad bowl. Otherwise, it can be anything it wants to be, and it'll reveal itself in a minute. Let's see what happens. I'm going to put some of the Osmo Clear Satin finish on here. It is a good, I believe it's a good finish for this type of bowl because it is also liquid resistant. So it will go into whatever crack, minuscule crack that I don't see, but it will also harden to a really nice durable finish. I don't know if you can see it, it added a really nice shine to it. So it only needs a small layer at first, a small coat, and then I'll add a second coat after I've turned the bottom off. I've mounted the bowl on the coal jaws and put the knobs inside and expanded the jaws so that it'll have a better grip than if the knobs were on the outside. Sometimes when the bowl has a slight slant, the rubber just doesn't adhere well enough. So on the inside, the way this bowl is shaped, it will be more secure. I just have to turn the foot off, get rid of all the epoxy, make a smooth bottom, a little bit indented, and then it'll be ready to sand, sign, and seal. look at more gaps, but they're sealed on the inside, so I'm not too worried about that now. But yeah, there you go. There's a big one. It's pretty deep. I'm just gonna keep I'm just gonna keep turning until the bottom is flat, and then done. I'm not a perfectionist by any means, but those holes kind of bug me. So I'm probably gonna, I know I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take the bowl off and try and put some gap filling CA glue in there. Hopefully it won't go through the other side. And then once it's dry, then I will finish sanding, sign, and seal this bowl. You know, it's been a really tough week when you end it with ripping the head off your chocolate bunny and filling the body with Baileys. But it's now the start of a new week, and I finished the planter for my niece. The maple planter turned out beautiful. It's nice and heavy, and she can put whatever she wants in there. The other piece that I finished was the little London plain bowl. So this is just a cute little bowl. She can put whatever she wants in there. The other one that was causing me so much grief was the London plain bowl with the blue tinted epoxy. Well, I finally finished it. It felt like a never-ending project. The blue is just subtle enough to add a little bit of character. It's quite pretty. I'm very pleased with it. The bottom still has cracks, but I filled them in with CA glue, and the inside is all sealed, so she can use it as a salad bowl or whatever she wants. So they actually nest quite nicely all together, and they'll be going out in the mail. Christina, I hope you like them. I'm no longer Lee Valley. My name is now Kathleen. I am the Kathleen wood-turning baroness. I'm the wood-turning baroness. And she's very much a nurturer. She nurtures her plants. And also she nurtures, oh my God, that's not a word I'm gonna be able to say, nurtures children. The flower pot or the plant pot, it's good. You make me laugh. Okay, we're gonna do this seriously. Okay. You do it on purpose. Dance break. I love this song. Here's a short history lesson about the London plain tree. That's how short it was. Tell me what? Oh. I don't know what to say. Okay, just leave it like that. Oh no. Okay, sorry. That's the kind of person she is. She's very much a nurturer. Nurturer. Yes, nurturer. Oh, that's not helping. I've been running on my YouTube. Not filling the holes properly. As soon as I take a little bit of wood away, more gaps are showing. So that seems to be a never-ending project. Headless bunny, Baileys. Cheers, guys.